Captain Elena Ward had never liked the word impossible. It was too clean, too final, too often used by people standing somewhere safe. She had heard it in battle rooms, spoken by officers with polished boots while other people bled on cracked deck plates. She had heard it from corporate salvage boards, from colonial administrators, from engineers staring at broken systems and deciding that broken meant done. Impossible was a word people used when they wanted permission to stop trying. Elena did not believe in giving the universe permission. The moon below her ship was trying very hard to kill everyone on it. Karth 7 was a small, ugly rock trapped in the gravity well of a gas giant the color of old bruises. Its surface was mostly black basalt, dust fields, and jagged ridges lit by pale blue lightning from the giant's upper storms. Tidal stress pulled at the moon constantly, flexing its crust like a hand squeezing a cracked egg. Naturally, someone had decided to mine it. The valuable ore ran in bright silver veins deep beneath the southern hemisphere, where the rock was warm, unstable, and rich enough to make people ignore both of those facts. The mining station had been built into a crater wall, half surface facility and half burrow, with shafts descending nearly 2 kilometers into the moon's crust. According to the first emergency broadcast, the station had suffered a moderate seismic event. According to the second, the central lift column had collapsed. According to the third, half the lower mine was gone. There had not been a fourth. Elena stood in the cargo bay of the Second Chance as her crew loaded rescue gear into the shuttle. The base smelled of machine oil, sealed medical packs, and overheated dust from equipment that had been pulled out of storage too fast to be cleaned. Cutters are charged, Sora called from the ramp. Brace kits loaded. Portable air tanks loaded. Tunnel foam loaded. Med sleds. Elena asked. 3. We brought 6. Sora gave her a look. We have room for 3, unless you want to leave the drilling rig. Elena looked at the rig, then at the med sleds.
Fine.
3. From the far side of the bay, Dr. Naomi Park snapped a medical case shut with both hands and stood. She was small, sharp-eyed, and carried tension the way some people carried knives.
Close to the body.
Ready to use. We may need more than 3, Naomi said. Elena did not argue. That was one of the rules with Naomi. If she said they might need more, she had already run the numbers and hated them. We'll cycle them, Elena said. First shuttle down, then we send back for the rest. Naomi's mouth tightened, but she nodded. The Second Chance lurched as another tremor rolled through the moon below. Not enough to move the ship in orbit, but enough for the station's emergency feed to spike red across the wall display. Elena looked up. The feed was ugly. Station integrity, failing. Lower shaft access, blocked. Atmospheric leakage, severe. Confirmed survivors, 53. Missing, 19. Then the number changed. Confirmed survivors, 53. Missing, 12. Naomi saw it too. Her face went still. Who changed that? She asked. Elena crossed to the display and opened the rescue coordination channel. The image that appeared belonged to Administrator Veltarin, the local official in charge of the disaster response. He was Lethari, tall and narrow, with skin like pale stone and long fingers folded together in front of him. Behind him, the command center bustled with quiet efficiency. Too quiet, in Elena's opinion. Disasters should have noise. Noise meant people still believed there was something to do. Captain Ward, Terran said. Your arrival is appreciated. Your vessel will be assigned to evacuation support. We have injured personnel requiring transport to orbital medical facilities. We're not an ambulance, Elena said. We're equipped for extraction.
Yes.
Your offer has been noted. Then note us at the collapse site. Terran hesitated. It was a very small hesitation. Professional. Controlled. Elena hated it immediately. Administrator, she said. Where did the other 7 missing workers go? Terran glanced at someone off-screen. They have been reclassified. Naomi stepped into the frame beside Elena. Reclassified as what? Non-viable. Naomi's eyes hardened. That wasn't my question. Terran's tone remained calm. Doctor, their last known location was below the secondary refinery chamber. Thermal signatures faded 26 minutes ago. Based on atmospheric readings, void structure, depth, and impact compression, survival probability is below actionable threshold. Below actionable threshold, Naomi repeated. Yes. What number? Doctor. What number? Another tremor moved through the feed. Dust shook from the ceiling behind Taryn. No one in the command center reacted much. Maybe they had gotten used to it. That was another thing Elena hated. Taryn finally said, less than 0.8%. Naomi laughed once. There was no humor in it. Then they're not dead. They are functionally beyond rescue. That's not the same thing. To us it is, Taryn said. He did not say it cruelly. That almost made it worse. He was not some monster twirling a blade. He was an administrator in the middle of a catastrophe, making decisions with limited equipment, limited time, and more injured people than his medical bays could hold. He was being practical. Elena had met a lot of practical people. They were often useful. They were also often wrong about when hope became. Taryn continued, Captain Ward, we must allocate resources where they can preserve lives. There are 53 confirmed survivors on the upper levels. Several are critically injured. The lower mine is unstable. Sending teams below the refinery collapse risks additional deaths. Elena asked, do you have audio sensors in the lower mine? Taryn blinked. Yes. Any sound, structural movement, rock stress, gas venting, water pressure in broken cooling lines. Any tapping? This time, his silence lasted too long. Naomi turned fully toward the display. Elena, she said quietly. Elena kept her eyes on Taryn. Administrator. Taryn unfolded his hands. There was an anomalous vibration pattern detected 12 minutes ago. Show me. It is not reliable data. Show me. Captain, the pattern was faint and non-repeating. Naomi moved closer to the screen. Show me. Taryn's jaw tightened. Then the feed shifted. A waveform appeared.
Most of it was chaos.
Long groans of shifting stone. Sharp cracks. Static interference from damaged relays. Then, beneath it all, barely visible, came 3 tiny spikes.
Tap, tap, tap. A pause.
Then again.
Tap, tap, tap.
Naomi inhaled. Elena felt the cargo bay change around her. Sora stopped moving. The deck crew went quiet. Even the hum of the shuttle seemed to fade under the small rhythm coming through the speakers.
Tap, tap, tap.
Taryn said, it could be debris movement. Naomi's voice dropped to something cold and absolute. Debris doesn't count to 3. No one spoke. Then Elena turned to Sora. Load the other med sleds. Sora did not hesitate. Yes, Captain. Taryn straightened. Captain Ward, I cannot authorize a descent into the lower mine. Elena looked back at him. I didn't ask you to. His eyes narrowed. This is my station. And those are living people under it. You do not know that. One of them is tapping. Or something is settling. Then I guess we'll go ask it. Taryn leaned forward, and for the first time his calm cracked enough to show frustration. Captain, listen to me. I am not dismissing their lives. I am trying to save the people we can still save. Naomi answered before Elena could.
No, she said.
You're trying to save the people your model still recognizes. Taryn looked at her. Naomi's expression did not soften. I'm a doctor, she said. I don't declare a patient dead because a model is tired. Dr. Park, survival below 1% is not. Still a patient. The worker has no confirmed identity, no confirmed location, no confirmed life signs, no oxygen estimate, and no viable extraction route. Naomi pointed at the waveform. She has a pulse until I fail to find one. Taryn stared at her. Elena gave him half a second to respond. He did not. She turned away. We're launching. The descent to Karth 7 was rough. The shuttle bucked through dust-choked atmosphere and static discharge, its hull rattling as the gas giant's pale light smeared across the cockpit windows. Below, the mining station burned in scattered pieces along the crater wall. Not open flames. There was not enough free oxygen for that. Just emergency lamps, sparks, chemical flares, and the red pulsing of beacon towers half buried in dust. Elena flew because she did not trust anyone else to keep the shuttle steady while the moon tried to shake it out of the sky. Naomi sat behind her in the jump seat, strapped in among medical kits and folded stretchers. Her hands rested on her knees. She looked calm. Elena knew better. "You all right?" Elena asked.
No.
"Good." Naomi looked at the back of her head. "Good. If you said yes, I'd worry." A brief smile touched Naomi's mouth and vanished. The shuttle slammed through a sheer pocket. Sora cursed from the equipment bay. "Still in one piece." Elena called. "For now," Sora shouted back. "Ask me again when this moon stops punching us." Elena brought the shuttle down hard beside the station's fractured landing pad. Dust blasted outward. Warning lights flashed across the console as the ground shifted under the landing struts. She killed the engines. "Move." The ramp dropped into storm-lit darkness. The air outside was thin, toxic, and full of powdered stone. Elena's helmet sealed with a hiss as she stepped onto the surface. Gravity was low enough to make every movement feel wrong, but the emergency suit compensated with weighted joints. Naomi came down behind her carrying 2 medical packs, one on each hip. Administrator Taryn met them at the outer lock with a rescue coordinator, first station security officers, and a face like a man watching someone waste his last good rope. "Captain," he said over suit comms. "Administrator, I have assigned a guide to take you to upper-level Tria."
No.
Taryn's eyes flicked to the drilling rig being unloaded behind her. "Elena," he said, using her given name like a warning. "You are putting your crew at risk based on a sound." "Yes." "And if the tunnel collapses?" "Then we dig that one too." "That is not a plan. It's a rescue." For a moment, the two of them stood facing each other beneath the broken station lights, while dust hissed against their suits. Then Naomi stepped between them. Where was the tapping detected? Taryn's attention shifted to her. His expression changed. Not softened. Not exactly. But Naomi had that effect in disaster zones. She was not loud. She was not dramatic. She simply radiated the terrifying conviction of someone who would crawl into hell with a first aid kit and complain about the lighting. "Secondary refinery chamber," Taryn said. "Below the east processing spine. Access. Collapsed. Alternate. Ventilation maintenance shaft, but it is too narrow for standard rescue frames." Elena said, "We're not standard. The shaft is unstable. So is the moon. It passes through a gas pocket. We have seals. It crosses under a fractured load-bearing wall. We have braces. There may be no one alive." Naomi said, "Then you won't mind if we check." Taryn looked at her for a long moment. Then he turned and gestured sharply. "Follow me." The inside of the station smelled worse than the outside, even through filters. Burned insulation, wet stone, hot metal, something chemical and bitter from ruptured processing tanks. They passed triage first. Elena wished they had not. Miners lay in rows under emergency blankets, some alien, some human, some species Elena could not identify beneath the dust and bandages. Lathari medics moved among them with careful speed. A Vorthak's child, too young to be working the mines and probably family of station staff, clung to a breathing mask while someone splinted her arm. Thank you for listening to Human Review Advised. If you're hearing this story anywhere other than the official Human Review Advised channel, please go there and support the original creator. If you are listening on Human Review Advised, a like, comment, and subscribe would mean a lot. It helps the channel grow and helps more people find these stories. Now back to the story. Naomi slowed. Elena saw it happen. The pull. The instinct to stop, kneel, help. A medic glanced up. "Doctor?" Naomi stopped for exactly one breath. Then she looked toward the lower mine entrance. Her voice was soft. "I'm going to get you one more patient." The medic stared. Naomi kept walking. Elena followed. The east processing spine was a ruin. A long industrial corridor had buckled sideways, its ceiling crushed down in places until Elena had to turn her shoulders to pass. Pipes jutted from the walls like broken bones. Emergency lights flickered in strips. Every few seconds, The whole structure groaned as the moon shifted. Sora and 2 crew members carried the brace kits. Naomi moved with a scanner in one hand and a medical case in the other. Terran came with them despite himself. Elena respected that. She still thought he was wrong, but he had not sent someone else to watch them die. They reached the ventilation maintenance shaft at the end of a half-collapsed service room. The opening was barely wide enough for a suited human to enter. A larger species would have had to remove armor or cut the wall. Elena looked at Sora. "Rig won't fit." "No," Sora said. "But the micro-drill might." "Bring it." Terran activated a wall display, then swore quietly when it failed. He pulled a handheld projector from his belt and cast a shaky map into the dusty air. "This shaft descends 30 meters, then angles under Refinery 2. The tapping was detected somewhere below this zone." The projected map marked the area in red. Red was rarely good. Elena studied it. "How deep?" 200 meters from here, then rubble. Possibly more voids beneath. Possibly. The collapse changed the structure. Naomi knelt beside the shaft opening and placed a sensor against the frame. Everyone went silent. At first, Elena heard only the station groaning. Then static. Then the faint drip of some leaking line.
Then, tap, tap, tap.
Naomi's head lifted. There it was. Tiny. Far away. Deliberate.
Tap, tap, tap.
Elena felt something in her chest tighten. Naomi closed her eyes for half a second. "She's alive," she whispered. Terran said, "We do not know that it is a she." Naomi opened her eyes. "I know." Elena glanced at her. Naomi did not explain. She did not have to. Sometimes people in Naomi's line of work made a patient a person before they had a name.
A man.
A woman. A child. Someone. Anything but a statistic. Because statistics were easy to leave behind. People were harder. Elena turned to her crew. "We go in pairs.
Tethers on.
Braces every 5 meters. No one unclips unless I say so. Sora, you hold the entry point. If we lose comms, you pull on the line twice every 30 seconds. If we don't answer after 3 pulls you." "Don't finish that sentence," Sora said. Elena looked at her. Sora stared back. Elena sighed.
"Fine.
You improvise." "That I can do." Terran said, "Captain, I strongly recommend against taking your physician into the shaft." Naomi looked offended. "You think I'm staying here? I think if there is a survivor, they may be severely injured, oxygen-starved, crushed, hypothermic, or in toxic shock. Dragging a doctor through an unstable ventilation shaft may leave you with no doctor." Naomi smiled thinly. "Administrator, I am not decorative." Elena almost laughed. Almost. Instead, she clipped her tether to the shaft frame. "I go first. Naomi behind me." Terran's voice sharpened. "Captain." Elena looked at him. "You said it yourself. The models think she's dead. So there's no resource issue anymore, right?" Terran went silent. It was a cruel point. Elena knew it. She crawled into the shaft anyway. The first 30 meters were tight. The shaft walls pressed close enough that Elena's shoulder plates scraped metal. Her helmet lamp threw a narrow cone of light over dust, torn insulation, and rusted bolts. Behind her, Naomi's breathing stayed steady over comms. "Too steady. You claustrophobic?" Elena asked. "Not today." "That's not how phobias work." "It is now." The shaft dropped, then angled hard left. Elena slid feet first, boots searching for purchase. Her tether dragged behind her. Somewhere below, stone cracked like a gunshot. Everyone froze. Elena held her breath. The shaft creaked. Dust rained over her visor. Then silence. Naomi's voice came through. "Still with you." "I notice. You always this chatty in confined spaces?" "Only when I'm pretending not to hate them." "Good. Keep pretending." Elena smiled despite herself and crawled on. They reached the first fracture 6 minutes later. The shaft had twisted open where a support beam punched through it. Beyond the gap, the passage continued, but the edges were sharp and unstable. Elena clipped a brace across the break, then another. The shaft groaned under the pressure. "Easy," Naomi whispered. "I'm being easy. Be easier." Elena secured the second brace and tested it. Stable enough. That was the official engineering term for most of her life. She crawled through. Naomi followed, medical case scraping against the torn metal. A warning flashed on Elena's suit display. External toxin level rising.
Gas pocket, she said.
I see it, Naomi replied. Elena sealed her secondary filters and checked Naomi's suit status from her wrist display.
Green. Good.
They kept moving. The tapping faded in and out as they crawled deeper. Sometimes Elena heard it clearly. Sometimes the rock swallowed it. Sometimes tremors drowned it beneath low grinding thunder. Every time it vanished, Naomi stopped. Every time, she placed the sensor against the wall. Every time she waited. And every time eventually came the sound.
Tap, tap, tap.
We hear you, Elena thought. Hold on. At 70 meters in, the shaft collapsed behind them. The sound came like the moon clearing its throat. A deep crack. A scream of bending metal. Then a roar. Elena threw herself flat as the shaft bucked under her. Naomi slammed into her boots. Their tether snapped tight. Dust engulfed them, turning helmet lights into useless white fog. Elena! Sora shouted over comms. We're here, Elena coughed. Status. Your line just went dead. Elena looked back. The tether disappeared into a wall of crushed metal and stone 5 meters behind Naomi. Their way out was gone. Naomi stared at the blockage. For 1 second, neither of them spoke. Then Elena said, Well, that's annoying. Naomi laughed. It was a short, breathless, slightly hysterical sound. Elena. Yeah. We're trapped in a poison ventilation shaft under an unstable mine on a moon that hates us. Temporarily. Naomi looked at her through the dusty glow. Temporarily? I'm not updating the status until I have to. Sora's voice crackled. Captain, talk to me. We lost the exit path. We're intact. Naomi. Intact, Naomi said. Slight bruising. Deep dislike of mining. Elena said, same. Taryn's voice entered the channel, tight with controlled alarm. Captain Ward, you must turn back. Elena looked at the collapsed shaft. Not an option. We will dig toward you from the entrance. Good. Remain in place.
No.
Captain, the tapping is ahead of us. Your extraction path is compromised. So is hers. Taryn's silence was heavy. Then he said, You now have limited oxygen. Elena checked her suit readout. 4 hours, 19 minutes. Naomi had 4 hours, 6. Plenty, Elena said. That is not plenty. It's more than 0. Naomi had already placed the sensor against the shaft wall. Everyone heard it.
Faint. Distant.
Still counting.
Tap, tap, tap.
Naomi looked at Elena. She's still a patient. Elena nodded. They crawled forward. The shaft narrowed after the collapse, forcing them to remove 2 equipment packs and push them ahead by hand. Elena's shoulders burned. Sweat gathered along her spine despite the suit's cooling system. Her knees began to ache from the awkward crawl. The tapping continued. Sometimes it weakened. Sometimes it stopped for a full minute. Each time, Elena felt fear climb into her throat. Each time, Naomi whispered, Come on. Come on. And each time the answer came.
Tap, tap, tap.
At 120 meters, the shaft opened into a maintenance chamber no larger than a closet. Half of it had collapsed into a pile of rock and broken conduit. A dead utility drone lay crushed against one wall. Elena dragged herself out and sat up with a groan. Naomi followed, then immediately scanned the floor, walls, and ceiling. Air pocket below, she said. Elena looked at her. How far? Hard to tell. Maybe 20 meters. Maybe less. Can you get a life sign? Naomi's scanner chirped, glitched, and filled with static. She smacked it once. Elena raised an eyebrow. Naomi glared at the scanner. Professional recalibration. Looked medical. It's a broad field. The scanner cleared for half a second. A tiny reading appeared, then vanished. Naomi froze. Elena leaned closer. Was that? Maybe. Naomi. It was a metabolic trace. Alive. Naomi swallowed. Someone was alive recently. Elena closed her eyes. Recently was better than no. Recently was worse than yes. A tremor rolled through the chamber, slow and grinding. Rock shifted overhead. A crack split across the ceiling. Elena stood as much as the cramped space allowed. We drill here. Naomi looked up. Through the floor? Unless you want to ask the wall politely. Elena, drilling may destabilize the pocket. Not drilling may let her run out of air. Naomi stared at the floor. Then she nodded once. Do it. Elena pulled the micro-drill from its case. It was not designed for miracles. It was designed to cut inspection holes, sample rock, and make engineers feel useful. Elena locked the brace feet into the floor, set the angle, and started the bit. The sound filled the chamber.
High. Shrill.
Too loud. Naomi flinched. Stop. Elena killed the drill. Naomi held up one hand. They listened. For a long moment, nothing. Then,
Tap. Tap. Tap.
but faster this time. Naomi's eyes widened. She heard us. Elena grabbed a steel bar from the toolkit and struck the floor 3 times.
Clang. Clang. Clang.
Silence. Then from below, faint but unmistakable.
Tap. Tap. Tap.
Naomi pressed both hands to her helmet. Oh, thank God. Elena set the drill again. Tell her we're coming. Naomi took the steel bar and struck 3 times.
Clang. Clang. Clang.
The answer came.
Tap. Tap. Tap.
They drilled. The first bit broke after 6 centimeters. Elena stared at the snapped metal end. Then she said several words Naomi later refused to include in her official medical report. How many bits? Naomi asked. 3. Now 2. Thank you, doctor. Just keeping morale high. Elena changed the bit and started again. The second bit overheated. The drill's warning light flashed red. Elena ignored it. The drill shut itself off. She hit the override. Naomi said, that warning exists for a reason. So do I. The drill screamed back to life. Smoke curled from the housing. Naomi looked from Elena to the drill. If that explodes, I'm charting it as stubbornness related. Fair. The second bit punched through into open space. A hiss of trapped air rose through the hole. Naomi dropped beside it instantly, feeding a narrow sensor line down. Hello, she called. This is Dr. Naomi Park. Can you hear me? Static answered. Then a sound. Not a word. A breath. Naomi's face changed. All the hard professional lines cracked at once. Elena, she whispered. Elena knelt beside her. Naomi adjusted the sensor. Can you hear me? She repeated. Tap once for yes. A pause.
Tap.
Naomi pressed her lips together. Elena looked away for half a second and forced herself to breathe. Naomi's voice stayed gentle.
Good.
Good, sweetheart. We hear you. We're above you. We're going to get you out. A faint sound came through the line. A voice.
Too weak to understand.
Naomi leaned closer. Say again. Static. Then barely. Don't stop. Naomi closed her eyes. We won't. Elena was already widening the hole. That was when Administrator Taryn came back on comms. Captain Ward. Busy. The fracture line above your position is widening. My engineers are reading significant stress movement. Define significant. The chamber you are in may fail. Time, unknown. Elena laughed once. I hate that answer. So do I, Taryn said. That got her attention.
His voice had changed.
Still controlled. Still professional. But there was something else in it now. Maybe fear. Maybe respect. Maybe the horrible realization that the model had been wrong while a trapped worker kept tapping in the dark. Taryn continued. We are attempting to dig toward your position from the entry shaft, but the collapse is worse than expected. We cannot reach you quickly. Then don't dig to us. Elena, Naomi warned. Elena ignored her. Administrator, look at the structural map. If there's an air pocket below us, there may be another path from the lower coolant tunnel. That tunnel is flooded. Can you drain it?
No.
Can you blow it? that may collapse the refinery chamber. May. Yes. Elena grinned grimly. I love May. Taryn did not. Captain, that is not a rescue route. It is a theoretical void connection through fractured stone. Send Sora to find it. A pause. Then Sora's voice cut in. Already moving. Elena should have been annoyed. She was proud instead. Taryn said, Your crew does not wait for authorization. No, Elena said. They're very poorly trained. Naomi shot her a look. Elena got back to work. The hole was now wide enough for Naomi to lower an oxygen line. She fed it down carefully, hand over hand. Can you reach this? Naomi asked. Faint movement below. Then tapping. One tap.
Yes.
Naomi activated the flow. There, she said, voice trembling despite her best efforts. Slow breaths. Don't gulp. Slow if you can. You're doing beautifully. The survivor said something. Naomi leaned closer. What was that? Static. Then, name, Lyra. Naomi smiled. Hi, Lyra. I'm Naomi. The very rude woman making all the noise is Elena. Elena kept cutting. Captain Rude Woman. Naomi's laugh came out wet. Captain Rude Woman, she said. She's good at this. Lyra's answer was too faint to hear. Then the moon moved. The chamber dropped. Not far. Maybe 3 centimeters. Enough. The floor slammed under Elena's knees. The ceiling cracked open wider. Rock fell hard enough to dent her shoulder plate. Naomi covered the sensor line with her body as dust blasted through the room. Elena! Sora shouted. Still here. Your chamber shifted on our map. It shifted in person too. Naomi checked the oxygen line. Still flowing. Elena looked at the hole. It had partially collapsed. No, 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 she muttered. She grabbed the cutter. Naomi caught her wrist.
Slow.
If you cut too much, you could bury her. If I cut too little, she suffocates. Then cut right. Elena stared at her. Naomi stared back. That was the thing about Naomi Park. She could be terrified and still demand precision from everyone, including herself. Especially herself. Elena nodded. Cut right, she said. She adjusted the tool and began shaving away fragments instead of forcing the hole wider. It was maddening work. Slow. Delicate. Her arms shook with the need to hurry. Below, Lyra stopped tapping. Naomi noticed first. Lyra, she called. No answer. Elena kept cutting. Lyra, tap for me. Nothing. Naomi's face went pale. Lyra. Still nothing. Elena's cutter slipped and sparked against stone. Naomi switched channels. Lyra, listen to me. I need you to tap once. Just once. Silence. Elena stopped cutting. For 3 seconds, the entire moon seemed to hold its breath. Then one faint sound came from below.
Tap.
Naomi bowed her head. Good, she whispered.
Good.
That counts. That absolutely counts. Elena resumed cutting. Minutes dissolved into effort. Oxygen warnings ticked down. 3 hours. 2 hours. 1 hour and 40 minutes. The chamber groaned. The cutter jammed. Elena cleared it. Naomi kept talking to Lyra through the sensor line, telling her what was happening, asking questions, giving her small tasks. Tap. Once if you can feel your left hand. Tap twice if your chest hurts. Tap once if you're cold. Tap if you're still with me. Sometimes Lyra answered quickly. Sometimes Naomi had to ask again. And again. And again. But she always answered.
Tap. Tap. Tap.
At last, Elena cut through enough stone to see the pocket below. It was small. Too small. Her helmet light shone down over twisted metal, a broken support frame, and a miner's suit half buried under a slab of rock. Lyra was Vethari, Elena thought.
Or partly.
Small, narrow-boned, gray-blue skin beneath the dust, with one arm pinned across her chest and the other barely free. Her hand held a broken tool. She had been tapping with the handle. The floor around her was stained dark. Naomi looked down and went very still. Elena, she said. I see it. They could reach her. Barely. They could not pull her through the hole, without moving the slab. Moving the slab might kill her. Not moving it definitely would. Naomi lowered a camera, scanning the injury points. Her voice changed into doctor mode so completely that Elena felt the air sharpen around her. Lyra, I can see you now. You're pinned, but we have oxygen to you. I'm going to send down a pressure cuff and pain blocker. Can you stay awake for me? A weak tap. Naomi prepared the injector on a line. Elena checked the slab. Too heavy to lift by hand. Too unstable to cut blindly. Sora, Elena said. Here. Tell me you found my theoretical void connection. Static hissed. Then Sora answered. I found a flooded nightmare pretending to be a tunnel. Can you get through? Already did. Elena smiled. Of course she had. Sora continued. We're below and east of you. Maybe 15 meters from the pocket. There's a wall of broken coolant pipe and rock between us. Can you cut? We can cut. We may drown, explode, or be crushed. Pick none of those. Working on it. Terran's voice entered. Captain, my engineers are with her. Elena blinked. Then she looked at Naomi, who looked just as surprised. Terran continued. We are opening a lower access route. It is not within normal safety margins. Despite everything, Elena laughed. Administrator, that sounds dangerously human. I will deny that later. Fair. Naomi sent down the injector. Lyra, you're going to feel a pinch. Then less pain. Stay with me. A faint voice crackled back. Tired. I know, Naomi said. You can be tired. You can be angry. You can be scared. You cannot leave yet. No answer. Naomi's voice became firmer. Lyra. Tap, once if you understand. Nothing. Elena leaned over the hole. Lyra, this is Captain Rude Woman. I dug too far to have an awkward conversation with a corpse. Tap the floor. Naomi glared at her. Elena mouthed, what? Below them, after a terrible pause, came one weak tap. Naomi looked furious and relieved at the same time. Your bedside manner is a crime, she said. She tapped. I hate that it worked. The lower rescue route broke through 20 minutes later. Elena heard it before she saw it. Cutting tools. Voices. Water rushing somewhere it should not. Then Sora's helmet light appeared through a narrow gap beside Lyra's pocket. Found her, Sora said. Naomi closed her eyes for half a second. Then she was all motion. Sora, do not move the slab yet. I need stabilization first. Her arm is trapped, possible rib fractures, possible crush injury, probable blood loss. We need fluids ready, pressure wrap, and a slow lift. Slow, Sora. Not heroic. Not dramatic. Slow. Copy that, Sora said. Elena crawled to the edge of the hole. I'm coming down. Naomi grabbed her shoulder. No, you're not. I can fit. You can barely move your left arm. Elena looked down and realized Naomi was right. Her shoulder plate was crushed inward. Pain pulsed beneath it, distant and hot. Huh, Elena said. Naomi stared. Huh. I noticed it, medically speaking. You are banned from having injuries. You're not my captain. No, I'm worse. I'm your doctor. Elena stayed where she was. Below, Sora and Terran's engineers worked around Lyra with excruciating care. Naomi guided every movement from above, watching through the camera feed and scanner, voice steady even when her hands shook. Brace the slab before lift. Good. No, not there. 2 centimeters left. Stop. Stop. Her breathing changed. Lyra, stay with me. Again. Slow lift. The slab rose a fraction. Lyra made a sound that went straight through Elena. Naomi did not flinch. I know, she said gently. I know. Keep breathing. You're doing it. The slab rose higher. Sora slid a support under it. Then another. Then the pressure came off Lyra's chest. Her suit alarms began screaming. Naomi swore. Crush response. Get fluids in now. Now. Sora moved. The engineers moved. Elena could do nothing but listen. That was the hardest part. Not the crawling. Not the drilling. Not the collapsing tunnel. Waiting while someone else's hands did the work. Naomi stayed on comms the whole time, Her voice, the thin lines stretched between Lyra and the dark. Look at me if you can. That's it. I'm right here. Sora is going to lift you. She's very annoying but confident. Elena is above you being smug, which is her natural state. Elena said, rude. Lyra made a tiny sound. Naomi froze. Then she smiled. She laughed. Elena swallowed. Good. The extraction took another 40 minutes. By the end, Elena's oxygen warning had become a steady amber pulse. Naomi's was red. The chamber ceiling had dropped another centimeter. Sora's lower tunnel was flooding behind her, and Terran's engineers were holding a cracked support wall with emergency foam and what sounded like prayer. But Lyra came out. Not cleanly. Not easily. Not like in recruitment vids where rescued miners blinked in the light and hugged their families. She came out limp, bloody, hypothermic, barely conscious, strapped into a flexible litter and passed hand to hand through a tunnel that should not have existed. When Sora pushed the litter up through the widened hole, Naomi caught Lyra's shoulders like she was receiving something sacred. Easy, Naomi whispered.
Easy.
I've got you. Lyra's eyes fluttered behind a cracked visor. Naomi leaned close. Lyra? Can you hear me? For a moment, nothing. Then Lyra's fingers twitched.
Tap.
Against Naomi's wrist guard. One tap. Naomi laughed and cried at the same time. Yes, she said. That counts. Elena helped pull the litter into the chamber with one good arm. Then the ceiling cracked again. Time to leave, Terran said over comms. Elena looked at the blocked shaft behind them. Wonderful idea. Suggestions? The lower route is open, Sora said. Mostly. Define mostly.
No.
Copy. They carried Lyra down through the hole, into the lower tunnel, through knee-deep freezing coolant and choking dust. Twice, they had to stop while engineers braced the passage ahead. Once, the lights went out entirely, leaving them in darkness broken only by helmet lamps and the soft blue glow of Naomi's medical scanner. Lyra coated halfway through the coolant tunnel. Her heart stuttered. Her breathing failed. Naomi reacted instantly. Stop moving. The whole rescue line froze. Naomi dropped beside the litter in the water, opening Lyra's suit seal just enough to work. Elena knelt beside her, holding the light steady as alarms screamed in 3 different systems. Come on, Naomi said.
No.
Absolutely not. She worked with both hands, fast and precise. A tremor rolled through the tunnel. Rock fell into the coolant behind them. Terran said, Doctor, we have to move. Naomi did not look up. She's still my patient, Doctor. She is still my patient.
No one argued after that.
Naomi got Lyra's heart back. Not strongly, not safely, but back. They moved. When they finally emerged into the east processing spine, the triage corridor had changed. It was no longer quiet. Workers, medics, security officers, and survivors filled the passage. Some had come on crutches. Some leaned against walls with bandaged heads. Some wore emergency blankets. Some simply stood there, staring as the rescue team came out of the lower mine carrying a miner everyone's models had already buried. No one cheered at first. Maybe they were afraid to. Maybe they did not believe what they were seeing. Then Lyra moved. Barely. Her hand lifted from the litter. Her fingers tapped the side rail.
Tap, tap, tap.
The corridor erupted. Not all at once. Not like humans would have. It began as a low sound from one miner. Then another. Then someone struck a pipe 3 times.
Clang, clang, clang.
Another answered. Then another. Within seconds, the whole corridor filled with it. Hands on walls. Tools on railings. Fists on armor. 3 beats. Again and again.
Tap, tap, tap.
Naomi walked beside the litter, one hand on Lyra's shoulder, refusing to let go until they reached the triage bay. Only then did she allow the medics to take over. Elena stood nearby, exhausted, filthy, and one-armed for the moment.
Her suit was dented.
Her throat hurt. Her knees were bruised to hell. Her oxygen alarm was still complaining. Administrator Terran approached her slowly. For a while, neither of them spoke. The corridor continued tapping around them. Finally, Taryn said, "Your methods are inefficient." Elena looked at him. He folded his long hands in front of him. Then he added, "And in this case correct." Elena leaned back against the wall. "I'll take it." Taryn looked toward the triage bay, where Naomi was already arguing with 3 medics and winning. "Our models are built to preserve the greatest number of lives." "That's a good goal." "Yes. But..." Taryn watched the triage doors. But they did not hear her. Elena said nothing. Taryn's voice grew quieter. "They detected the sound. They classified it. They calculated probability. But they did not hear her." Elena looked down the corridor, where miners still tapped in groups of 3, turning one trapped woman's last signal into something like a promise.
"No," she said.
"They didn't." Taryn turned back to her. "Humans did." Elena smiled faintly. "That's what we're for." Later, after Lyra was stabilized aboard the Second Chance, after Naomi finally sat down and allowed someone to treat the burns on her hands, after Sora fell asleep sitting upright beside a pile of wet rescue gear, Elena stood alone in the cargo bay and listened. For a moment, she could still hear it. Not through the hull. Not from the moon. Just memory.
Tap, tap, tap.
A sound too small for models. Too faint for officials. Too stubborn for death. Naomi entered behind her, wrapped in a thermal blanket and looking like she would bite anyone who suggested rest too cheerfully. "She'll live," Naomi said. Elena closed her eyes. The words moved through her harder than any tremor. "You're sure?"
"No."
Elena looked back. Naomi gave her a tired, fierce smile. "But she's alive now. That's where medicine starts." Elena nodded. Below them, Karth 7 kept shaking. The station was still damaged. There would still be bodies to recover. There would still be reports, inquiries, blame, grief, and the brutal work of surviving after survival. But one more person would see another sunrise. Because she had kept tapping. Because Naomi had kept listening. Because humans did not stop digging just because the odds were ugly. Elena looked toward the med bay. What did Lyra say when she woke up? Naomi's expression softened. She asked if anyone heard her. Elena swallowed. "What did you tell her?" Naomi looked back toward the cargo bay doors, toward the moon, toward the collapsed dark beneath it. "I told her yes," she said. "I told her the right people did." The story spread after that. Not as a battle. Not as a victory. Not as one of the loud human legends full of impossible odds and broken enemy fleets. It spread quietly, station to station, mine to mine, rescue service to rescue service. The tale of the unstable moon where the models said no one was left. The officials had been practical. The aliens had not been cruel. The math had not been malicious. It had simply been finished. The humans were not. So when disaster struck in the years that followed, in collapsed habitats and burning freighters and shattered domes, survivors began doing something strange. Even when their lights failed. Even when their oxygen thinned. Even when the rescue channels went silent. They tapped. 3 times. Again and again. Because someone might still be listening. And if humans were anywhere nearby, someone was.